Hey everyone! Welcome back! I am back today with more Jojolion Manga reviews, you guys. We have a pretty great week lined up this week. I think it's gonna get pretty bizarre. I think that goes without saying. That's really kind of redundant at this point to say that anything is going to be bizarre in this entire series. However, I'm really excited to share these chapters with you today. We have a couple things going on. Before I get started, I do just want to say if you're joining me early today, you know exactly what that means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And as always, I am sending up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if you're joining me on those YouTubes, I really hope you'll hit like and subscribe for me. It helps me in my channel so much. Helps the algorithm, it helps me. It's just great for everybody. I hope you will do that. I'm so glad you tuned in today. Happy to have you here. I really hope you will consider checking out the link to my Patreon in the description down below. Another thing that helps me a whole lot, and you get early access, full length, uncut, uncensored, everything. Content going back quite a few years now. I have been doing this a little while. So thank you in advance for checking that out. All right, guys, what are we doing today? We're doing, that would have been a good thing to look into beforehand. I think we're doing 33, 34, 35, 36 today. We left off on 32 last time. Okay, first thing I want to say is I love how we did the Pillar Men without really doing them, and literally everything in here. I've said for a long time that I don't think that Araki likes to repeat himself, and I hold true to that, because even in redoing, you know, characters, stories, towns, places, eras, universes, characters, and everything that he had already done, he finds a way to make it all so drastically different that I mean, I didn't even realize it was supposed to be the Pillar Men at first. Leonie had to tell me. Thank you, Leonie. But yeah, really clever. And it also ties into kind of the bigger picture of what is this fruit? What does it have to do with curing this disease that seems to have been passed down in the Higashikata family, kind of in the Joestar family? I'm not exactly sure still why it happened to affect one Joestar and a bunch of Higashikatas, when it kind of feels to me like the problem started with the Johnny stuff, the effect of Love Train and everything like that. But I'm sure all will be revealed in good time. We do get some revelations in this one that I think you're really going to appreciate. Some stuff we've been building up to for a while. But as we know, last time we left off with the whole Yotsuyu story, and then we have Yasuho just wake up with the fruit, and she's like, all right then, back to sleep for me. And it's like, oh my god, what? By the way, guys, I am wearing my JoJo Christmas sweater. You can't really tell unless I back out. Oh, you're gonna get to see the bump too. My pretty much fully formed bump by now. But yeah, I just thought I'd show it off because in 99% of my videos where I wear it, all you can see is maybe that it says Christmas. You can't really tell what it is, so I thought you guys would appreciate that. Oh, that's too close. Too close. I'm backing up. Backing away. I'm in your face. I'm sorry. All right. So I just wanted to show that off real quick. All right, guys. Let's kick it off with chapter 33. Finally, for once, we are starting a batch on a new storyline, which I just said last time, that never happens. And I'm really happy to say this one we are gonna leave in the middle of one, unfortunately. But we are actually gonna kick it off with a fresh storyline. We recap people's stands, and we have this little narration from Josuke about how he has a little bit of a lead now as to who he is. And we see that Tsurugi and Norisuke are trying to catch the dog that Yotsuyu healed. And they have this cute little dog food trap. I'm just oh my god, sometimes they're just so stinking cute. They can be so weird, and sometimes they can be menacing or something, but sometimes they're just so darn cute. So Josuke has his box of sesame dumplings, and he's thinking of Yasuho, and he's envisioning her being cute and flirty, wanting to snack on the dumplings together, and he has this look of bliss on his face. He looks so happy, and I'm just give me my ship. Give me my ship. That's all I'm asking. It's just give me, you've done so well building up the ship. Like, I don't know if I compare them to Jonathan and Erina, because Jonathan and Erina is like a love for the ages. But like, he's doing romance very well right now. And I'm just asking you to follow through on that. Send in the ship. That's all I'm asking. So he goes into where she was sleeping before, and he's all relieved, only to find, guess what? She's not there anymore. So he's freaking out, but Norisuke tells him, like, it's okay, I sent her home. And he's like, why would you do that? He's like, well, she doesn't live here, for one thing. And he's like, you know what? This is kind of a family thing. Like, this is a Higashikata thing, this whole Yotsu thing. I don't want her involved in this. And I kind of get that to a degree, like he maybe wants to protect her a little bit, but, you know, she was almost in their family picture, by the way. So Norisuke tells them that he's having tests done on Yotsu's corpse, and that he found out that Yotsu stole the registry of a child who had no relatives and used that identity to become an architect. So he's whatever he's got going on, it's everything we knew about him was totally manufactured. So that's when they see the dog just Kitty Pryde style phase through the wall, and the dog has half the fruit. And I'm like, what? Like, what? Did the fruit do that? Did I just see that wrong? Does the dog have a stand? Like, what is happening? So Josuke recognizes the fruit and says they can't let the dog get away. But Tsurugi is like, oh, he's being all sweet and docile. What a good boy. And I'm like, you know what? Fair, because we always have time to stop and make a fuss over a dog. So Josuke is like yelling. He's like, for the love of God, just grab the fruit. So Josuke explains that this is the fruit, and the dog is he just keeps being cute and sweet now that he's eaten some. So Norisuke, of course, wants to investigate the fruit, and this is actually perfect because fruit is his whole business. And, you know, I was thinking when I was reading this, I'm like, fruit to Norisuke is like real estate to Joseph. Like, this is the industry, you know? So it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, if it had to be anything, like, thank God it was fruit in a way. It's almost like it's too convenient. No, I'm just kidding. But it is, I mean, we have had a lot of, like, focus on fruit this time around. Like, even the comparison of when we were explaining the kind of, like, half and half equivalent exchange thing, we were using fruit. We were using, like, what? Like, mandarin and, what was it? Lemon. I think it was lemon. Or was it? Yeah. I think it was, like, an orange and a lemon. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it. We were using like 2 fruits. It's on my shirt. I didn't wear my shirt today. Dang it. Oh, well. Anyway, so yeah, so he's in the fruit business. He says he's never seen anything like this before, but it smells like fig. And Tsurugi wants to eat some, and he's just kind of like, let me taste it. And he's kind of like tweaking over it a little bit. So it's just kind of funny, like, I don't know, like Tsurugi, he's so, in a way, like, kind of methodical, but he still, like, kids out an awful lot, so it's kind of fun. Okay, so Norisuke wants to find the tree that it came from, and he says there's either a tree somewhere in Japan or someone else brought it from another place, since he didn't detect any sign of Yotsuyu having been overseas with his stand. So, fortunately, his whole ability is tracking, so he king nothings the fruit. He's able to replicate what the plant looked like, and Josuke asks if he can track it. And Norisuke is like, well, if it's from somewhere overseas, then no, I can't track that far. But he suggests they head over to his fruit store since they keep records on every variety of fruit in the world there. Wow. Like, when I was thinking that he was like the Joseph of fruit, I'm like, wow. Like, he really is like a fruit tycoon. Like, he's not just like some guy who sells fruit. You know what I mean? Like, fruit is his life. And you're going to see just how much fruit is important to this family in a second. So, yeah, and here I had written about orange and lemon. Okay, the orange and lemon thing, it's like everything has to do with fruit in this. So Norisuke asks what they should do with the dog, and Tsurugi is like, he wants to keep it. And guess what? He named it Rocky. Isn't that cute? I just love that because he get it because he was a rock. And he's super cute. Where is my dog? She was literally just here, and I have no idea where she is. Okay, so they head to the Higashikata fruit parlor, and Josuke is like noting how cute it is, and it is. It is so cute. And in any other like manga or anime, this would totally be their little hangout spot. I just love it. So Norisuke explains that fruit is very special in terms of occasions and everything, because you send it when something bad happens to somebody, and girls love to get like a fruit treat after they're done shopping. And this fruit parlor happens to be in the middle of like a ton of shopping, so it's very well located. He explains that he raises first-rate fruit, not the kind you get at the supermarket, but he doesn't want his fruit to start rotting while it's out because that's bad for his reputation. So the fruit parlor uses all the fruit that's past its peak. And I'm like, that's genius, because instead of wasting it, now you have a whole other little separate thriving business. He's a good businessman. He really is. He even explains like the structure and anatomy of this parfait, and how each layer is like planned for how to perfectly eat it. I mean, it's a whole thing. You know how they get with food in anime where it's like it's an experience. It's no longer sustenance. It's an experience now. So the shape of the glass makes it so all these layers blend together right. And he related it back to the natural flow of things, and how all this is a metaphor for how Josuke should be handling his situation. So I'm like, a way to like go off about fruit, but then also like have like a dad life lesson to bring it back to. Double win. I don't know. He tells them to remember this because otherwise he won't be able to find any good fruit. And I'm like, and he finishes it off with a dad joke. Some prime dad stuff right there. So Norisuke suddenly realizes he got an email, and just as Josuke goes to eat some of the parfait, and he accidentally squirts some of the juice like he did with the dumplings at the beginning of the series onto somebody's shoe nearby, no less. I'm like, oh my lord. Norisuke did that again. Norisuke says, oh look, Jobin's back. And just as we zoom out on the figure who just got their shoe squirted on, we get the face reveal. Josuke apologizes, and this person tells him, like, we all make mistakes. You're only human, right? And Norisuke recognizes him. So you can see where this is going. Norisuke and this person start freaking out. And Norisuke is like, I love Mitsuo Aida. And apparently he's a Japanese poet. And this person just quoted him. And guess who the person is, you guys? It's Jobin. It's the eldest brother that they keep on talking about, keep on showing in the charts and everything. And we have not gotten to see. So it begs the question, why would they hold off this long to introduce us to him? And I will keep that in mind for getting to know him, because he is quite the character. So Norisuke and Jobin are catching up, talking about what he saw when he was on his trip, what he bought. He got a beetle for himself that was like unrelated to business stuff. And he quotes Mitsuo Aida again, and he and Norisuke are just cracking up over it. So Jobin notices Josuke standing there, and he's like, he thinks he might know him. And I was like, what do you mean you know him? What do you mean? You've been out of town this whole time. But then he says he heard about the whole memories thing, and Norisuke explains that they took him in, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's I guess it's all fine, it's all on the up and up. So Jobin actually gifts him a beetle, and Josuke is really hesitant to accept it because, like, he doesn't know anything about beetles or how to care for them. And I'm like, oh my god, this is Daya all over again. Because, like, Norisuke was just like, okay, you're taking care of Daya now. And he's like, I don't know anything about taking care of a teenage girl. And he's like, you'll figure it out, don't worry. So Jobin insists that he take this beetle. And Jobin throws in a figure and a wristwatch to convince him. He's like really, really intent on giving him this beetle for some reason. So Norisuke starts play wrestling him and telling him like, stop making Josuke uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh my God, this whole family makes me uncomfortable from time to time. Like they could be super cute and they could just be super weird. And you never know what you're going to land on, or like maybe somewhere in the middle. So of course, this is a cuter family moment. You're thinking, oh, how nice, right? That's when we see Norisuke's stand start to track Jobin from the little recreation of the fruit plant that it had made. King Nothing tracked the fruit scent to Jobin's handkerchief. Finn in chapter 33, you guys. So, big highlight for this one is getting to actually see like the fruit business that we've mentioned a couple of times. Like they made their fortune, I guess, off of fruit, but we never really got to see it or anything. So we get to see that. We get to see just how kind of like committed that Norisuke is to this whole fruit thing. And most importantly, we get to meet Jobin, which is a big deal because, like, in my mind, I was like, why have they held off on introducing him so late? Like, it could be an Araki forgot thing, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, there's got to be a reason why we saved him for last, right? And then I was like, nah, he seems super goofy, and I'm sure it's just like a big coincidence, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, nope, he has something to do with the fruit. Now, my first thought on that was like, he's probably looking into the fruit for his son. But the fact that he even knows about the fruit is a little suspicious. So we're already not off to a great start. But now, of course, we have to figure out what's going on, right? That's going to be like our next thing that we focus on. So let's just kick it with chapter 34. The inner cover is the family photo that they never took at the beginning, but this time it has Jobin and Rocky in it and no Yasuho. But I just thought it was interesting because like the first time around, I was like, well, we can't take a photo without Jobin. And like apparently the first thing they did was get a photo with Jobin as soon as he got back. So, oh, guess what, guys? Joshu shows up. And he's rubbing his souvenir that he got from Jobin in Josuke's face. But then he sees that Josuke got the beetle and he gets all upset. So the sisters are also showing off their souvenirs too. And they quickly realize that like they make no sense. Like he got Daya an ashtray, and Daya's like a teenage girl that does not smoke and everything. And Kay, the maid, got like an Oscar statue and all this stuff. So, I don't know, it's one of those funny, cute things. He's really good with that this time around of doing, like, the funny, cute things. So, Joshu takes Josuke to Jobin's room, and Joshu starts going on about how Josuke wants Jobin to show him how to raise the beetle in, like, typical annoying Joshu fashion. Because we can't just do something. He just has to be, like, about it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm so done with him at this point. So, Jobin says in a very ominous way, if you take something by force, there's never enough. If you share it, there will always be something left over. And he's looking right at Josuke. And I'm like, oh my God, is he supposed to be like saying something about his whole like half and half situation? Like, what? And then Josuke's like, let me guess, Mitsuo Ida? And Jobin's like, yep, and he high-fives Josuke. And then he starts ragging on Joshu. And I'm like, oh my God, Jobin, I think maybe I'm gonna actually really like you. And so Jobin starts explaining that beetles eat protein, and we flash back to the scene between Josuke and Tsurugi. And Tsurugi is teasing poor Rocky, but he's like, it's all good, we're friends now. And I'm like, don't tease that puppy dog, don't do that. So Josuke's like, look, your dad is back and my plan is to corner him. So I need you to tell me everything about his stand. So first thing is I'm like, what? He got back and he didn't even go like find his wife and kid. But okay, maybe he just had to put his stuff away. I don't know. So plus like it seems like they're close in a way. Like family's important to them, but they're not like, I don't know. Like there's still a lot of like secretive sort of aspect to like the way that they treat their stands and everything. Like they're not all being straight with each other. So Tsurugi asks if he talked to Norisuke about it yet, and he says no, but it was Norisuke's stand that tracked it to Jobin. So Tsurugi wants to know, like, why are you keeping it from, like, his grandpa, Norisuke, and everything? And Josuke explains that, like, any parent is probably going to side with their kid on this one, so I'm just not going to say anything. And I'm like, that's fair. He's going to have kind of, like, a little bit of, like, a partiality in this case. Like, maybe try and side with his son and not see anything that might be going on. So Tsurugi is pretty flustered, and he's saying, like, my dad is good. He's a nice dad and a fun dad. And, like, he's even the one who really grew the fruit parlor to be such a good hangout spot. And I'm like, he was? Wow. And he's like, he never once hit me. And Josuke's like, tell me about his stand. Like, all that aside, I need to know what I need to know. And so we cut to present. And Josuke is like, hey, Jobin, is there some place around here that you keep living stag beetles? Back to the flashback, Tsurugi says he'll only help if Josuke promises not to hurt his dad in any way and that they're just after the fruit info. So Tsurugi tells Josuke in the flashback, guess what? His dad's weakness is stag beetles. And I'm like, you mean like a hobby, right? Like it's not his literal weakness? Like you mean like the hobby of collecting them is his weakness? Not like there's an actual... And yeah, yes, it is just the hobby he's referring to. So Tsurugi explains that his dad is a total kid when it comes to his beetle collection. He doesn't even see it as a weakness, which just makes it even more so. And that if he can defeat his pride, he'll start talking. So I'm like, I see. And also I get it because, like, you know, some of us do have hobbies that are a little bit of a weakness, such as my addiction to getting JoJo stuff. So, like, I get it. JoJo merch is my stag beetles. Like, what can I say? Yeah. Where was I? Yes, so he's a big kid over the beetles. Tsurugi says that Josuke should propose to Jobin to have their beetles fight each other. And I'm like, oh my god, what? So Jobin is explaining all about beetles and how they're intelligent, and like, Josuke wants to know what the things sticking out of their faces are called, and Joshu's like all offended by this because he's trying to pretend, like he's trying to look cool for Jobin. And they're called mandibles. And Josuke points out like, the mandibles on this one, the one that he's looking at, don't look as good as the mandibles on my beetle. Like, they look a little bit weaker. And then he's like, oops, I shouldn't have said that. And I'm just like, oh my god, Josuke, you know exactly what you're doing. So Joshu's all up in his face, and Jobin is just looking, like, intense. He's, like, glaring. So Jobin's like, wait, was this the one you thought looked weak? Why don't we fight them and find out? And I'm like, oh my god, that's so perfect. Like, make him think it was his idea. So in the flashback, Tsurugi is saying, you've got to make Dad think that this is his idea, basically, because if he doesn't, then he won't really lose his cool the way that he needs to. Like, he's not going to be frenzied about this the way that he needs to be to kind of, like, get a little bit beside himself and start opening up and actually, like, saying something, you know? So he's like, once you fight, you need to win so that his pride is hurt. So cut back to present, and Josuke is like, nah, I shouldn't have said anything. Making them fight would be meaningless. And Jobin's like, are you trying to say that what I do here is pointless? He's seriously said to him, like, am I a joke to you? And I was just like, oh my god, Josuke's just like goading him so bad. So Joshu explains the arena and how it all works, and that you can use the brush just a little bit as long as you're not really like touching the beetles. So they'll get more into like what you do with the brushes. First I was like, why would you use the brush? Like, why is there a brush involved? But they'll get more into it. And Josuke's like, hey, you know, maybe we should make this more interesting with a bat. And then he's like, no, I shouldn't have said anything. And just like, I love it so much. He's just like saying these things and like, oh, I spoke out of turn. I'm so sorry. But Jobin is down, of course. And he says like he'll give him like a Hercules rhinoceros beetle if he wins. So Jobin mentions that, by the way, he was talking about intelligence before, but like it's also about fighting spirit. And the one with the most of that always wins, just like human athletes. So he's like, I'm going to make this beetle get fighting spirit real quick. I'm going to like drill the joy of victory into it before we get started. So he puts a wasp in with his beetle. And of course it just like tears it in two. And he's like, oh yeah, whichever one gets killed loses, like in a gladiator match. And I'm just like, he's so trying to like intimidate him right now. Like he's playing mind games through a beetle. It's a whole different level of OP. So he's like, hey, Josuke, like, what do you plan to bet? Finn to chapter 34. Yeah, guys. So I think what you're seeing, you're starting to see a little bit more of like what Jobin is really about. We can see that he's a little bit proud, obsessive, maybe like he's mostly good-natured, but he's very, very like deliberate and crafty in what he does. And he has a blind spot for these beetles, apparently. So Tsurugi, even though you can tell Tsurugi really loves and cares about his dad, and he's a good dad to him, and like he doesn't want to do anything to like set him up, the thirst for this knowledge about the fruit is really outweighing anything. And he's like, all right, I will help you as long as like we're not gonna do anything, we're not gonna hurt him, we're just gonna get him to talk, basically. And to be fair, it seems like so far it's working. Jobin, if like you're gonna see more of why I say this, but he really starts to give me Rohan vibes. And one thing I found really to be missing from this whole part is just like Rohan or any reference to Rohan. So I'm like, I mean, he's not supposed to be Rohan, but it's just kind of interesting to me. Like you could see a lot of even this whole next encounter feels a little bit like the dice game a little bit. Like not exactly, because I think that Jobin keeps his cool a lot better than Rohan did in that instance. But it feels a little bit comparable to me, and you can kind of start to see a little bit of like what he's about. He's goofy, he's a little zany, but he knows what he's doing as well. And he's super into beetles, and Joshua's here for some reason, and he's being annoying. And to be fair, Jobin kind of trashes on him a little bit, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I can handle that. As long as somebody's, like, hassling him, then I'll feel a little bit better. Oh, I'm sorry, that shook my camera. I have, like, a whole new setup here, and, like, one thing I'm like, kind of adjusting to, like, the new angle, the new everything. So, and it feels like whenever I move, like, the camera sort of shakes a little bit. So, I'm sorry about that. So, yeah, guys. What was it? Oh, one thing I noticed, like, in this one, I'm like, why do all these Higashikatas have Joe names? Because even Norisuke was like, his other name was Josuke. And I still don't know the reason for that. If anyone can figure that out for me, that would be amazing. But yeah, like Jobin and Joshu, like why do they all have Joe names if they're not in the... It's probably just coincidence. But like, it's very strange to me. Like, is there some kind of deeper connection between, like, they're all cousins of the Joestars, but like, is there like a deeper connection than that? Like, are they... I don't know. Because I just feel like this whole thing should really be a Joestar curse. And instead it's like Higashikata curse. I mean, not exactly, because Rina had it first. So it was originally Higashikata disease. But doesn't it kind of feel that way? Like, the whole thing with Johnny and how he, like passed it to himself and everything, like, it almost feels like it's more a Joestar thing now. But maybe that's why Holly has it. I don't know. So anyway, so chapter 35, we get an updated kind of who's who. Now that we got Jobin back involved, I just thought that would be fun to include. And we start off with this monologue about how is a person bad from the moment they're born? Or if they become bad, like what is the reason? Is it something like jealousy or greed? Or is it because of innocence? And I'm like, that's an interesting take on it. It also kind of reminds me of like the little initial talk that we had about, you know, like way back in the days of Dio, like the first Dio, the original universe Dio, like, was he just born bad? Was he just, you know, of course, Speedwagon was like, nah, he's just evil. Some people are just evil and he's just evil. So, you know, little shout out to that moment. But so Josuke is the one apparently doing this inner monologue, and he's thinking, I have no clue, but I know Jobin's involved somehow, and I'm going to find out more. So Jobin is asking Josuke, like, what he wants to bet, picking up from last time, and Joshu is so helpfully chiming in that Josuke has nothing to offer. So Jobin offers to shave his eyebrow. And he's like, if you lose, you can shave one of yours. Wouldn't that be fun? And Josuke's like, why? And he's like, because thrill is written with the characters for feel and move. And everyone just kind of pauses for a second. And Joshu's like, oh, Mitsuha Aida, right? And Jobin is just delighted that somebody got it. And I'm just like, I'm really starting to kind of get a little bit of the Rohan vibes, like particularly that early Rohan where he was a little bit more like crazed and frenzied, and he was, you know, licking spiders, and like I could see this guy licking a spider easily. In fact, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't licked a spider yet, or licked one of his beetles. I'll be honest. Like I think I'm maybe more concerned that he hasn't licked anything yet. And so Josuke's just like, I'm in. As long as these insects have intelligence, like, I can make this work. So they get started, and we flash back again to Josuke and Tsurugi, and he's asking Tsurugi about Jobin's stand, and Tsurugi says he honestly doesn't know what his stand is. He suggests his dad might not even be fully aware of his stand, but that the most important thing is to find out what his dad's real goal is. So he tells Josuke to stick with the beetles because he'll become totally closed off if he starts to suspect that they're trying to get something out of him. So Tsurugi tells Josuke that the best way to handle this is to put female pheromones onto the beetle with a brush. So I guess we can do things with the brush in the battle. And he says that the scent of a female is the best way to like bring out the fighting spirit of a male. So, cut to present, the beetles are grappling, and apparently, like, they're making some kind of sound, and Joshu notes that, and Jobin immediately asks Josuke if he put pheromones on the beetle, and I'm like, shoot, he is sharp. He is sharp. So, then Josuke's beetle's mandible just, like, cracks off. And Joshu's like announcing the whole match, by the way. Like, he's so into it. So Jobin explained that he sharpens the mandibles of his beetles. And Jobin's beetle starts to break the head off of Josuke's. It's so gross. Joshu's just freaking out, screaming. Josuke's sweating it out. But Jobin's just like, you know what? It's not over yet. He's keeping his cool. I mean, it's his beetle winning, but he's still like, he's not getting into it. So then we see that deep in the fibers of like the outside of the ring, that's where the pheromones are. And Josuke put them inside his bubbles and then put them in the ring. So then Josuke's beetle picks up Jobin's. Joshu's freaking out. And now Jobin is starting to look a little bit surprised. And Josuke tells him to start the count. So he says it, and like the count's not started, so he yells at Joshu to like start the freaking count already. But that's when Jobin's beetle runs out of the ring. So Josuke's like, allow me to say this amply. One way or another, the winner is me. And that's kind of like his catchphrase now. So I love that he got to sort of insert that in here. And Jobin just wastes no time, you guys. Let me tell you, he whips out a razor. I don't know where he was keeping that razor. I don't know why he had a razor on it, but he whips it out so fast and just starts shaving his eyebrow right on the spot. Like, he's a little out there, you guys. Shave him right on the spot. Fin to chapter 35. Jobin's not right, you guys. He is, let's just say, eccentric. But you always get this idea that, like, even though he's eccentric, he always kind of knows what he's doing, and he's always, like, 10 steps ahead. So, like, he can be eccentric, but, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of L from Death Note a little bit, where, like, he's weird, but don't underestimate him, you know? He's a lot wackier than L though. He's not, I mean, he's giving me like the kind of like the spooky, crazy Rohan vibes, like Rohan when we first met him. And so I'm really not sure what he's up to. Maybe he's just some guy that wants to help his son and loves beetles. Maybe he knows something more. We just have to keep going to find out. But this one was mostly Jobin being super weird and beetles. And guys, I am told that the beetle fight is actually pretty well known, like in the community, even for people who aren't as familiar with Jojolion and everything. Like, people are aware of the beetle fight because apparently it's like a really iconic fight. And I gotta tell you, I totally get it. Just keep in mind that except for the bubbles that we just use with the pheromones and everything, this is they're not stand users that we know of. There's no superpower, there's no hormone, there's no spin. This is just beetles duking it out. And you'll see in the next one, like, this is a good fight. This is somehow very, 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 very interesting. And it's like only Araki could do this. Only he could do this, where he is so interested and so like kind of curious, inquisitive. His interest in something and his spark for that it comes out in his work, and it makes us interested and sparked for it and everything. Like, and it's so weird because like he could do it with anything. He could do it with bugs. Like, watch him do it with literally anything. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate power system. It can be. He does great with that, but sometimes, you know what? It could just be two beetles just trying to kill each other. And that's exactly what we have here. So, that was a shorter one. Chapter 36 is long because we have a lot going on in chapter 36. It's really good. So let's kick off into chapter 36. We see Yasuho looking at a picture of the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and she's saying how like she hopes she gets to go there one day. And I also love that he just loves Italy so much, and like Italy just manages to pop up whenever. So we see her stand start to activate as she's looking at her phone, and she seems to like actually see that it's activating this time. And then suddenly her TV starts playing like the same footage that she was looking at on her phone of like this car. And she's like, what? And she's thinking, you know what? I need to go out. I need to touch some grass. I need to get out. I need to get out of here. Then there's a knock at the door, and it's Tsurugi. And he's begging her to help because Josuke is going up against his dad. And he says that they need a guide to the fruits, so they need her. So meanwhile, Jobin's just finishing up his eyebrow. And you guys, he's looking a little weird. He's looking a little weird without the eyebrow, I'm not going to lie. So Josuke gets up to leave, and Joshu stops him. He's like, no, you were cheating. You definitely used a trick. It was the pheromones or something. And his first thing that he says is like, let's take away his room. And I'm just like, I cracked up over this because like, if you remember way back when Josuke first moved in, like they gave him Joshu's room, and Joshu got like the room in the garage or something. And he's like, he's still on it. He's still bitter about the room thing. So Jobin sighs. He's like, come on, Joshu, you're so uninteresting and dull. And then he like looks in the mirror and starts laughing about like how funny he looks now. And he's being a little weird. And yeah, but he's good-natured about it. So he says he really feels like a kid on summer vacation again now. And I'm just like, I don't know how an eyebrow made you feel that way. Apparently we spent our summer vacations very differently, sir. But more power to you. So Jobin gets agitated and says, like, if you don't get caught, it's not cheating. And which immediately reminded me of that line from Joseph in the Darby fight. Which it's not fun to watch anymore. I mean, the fight is, but that line is not. But yeah, he basically says the same thing. And Joshu's trying to argue, but Jobin's like, shut up already. And then he's like, no, not shut up. Actually, I want you to cheer on Josuke's side. And he's like, I better hear you cheering or else. Because it'll be more fun this way. It'll be more fun this way. He's all about the fun, you guys. He is all about the fun. So Josuke is like, wait. I never agreed to a second match. And Jobin's like, wow, of course we kind of. So it's like implied that we would do a second one. And Josuke's like, well, I can't. My beetle's mandible is already broken. And Jobin's like, no, no, no. He's got to feel for winning now. Now he's stronger than ever, even though he's literally badly injured. So meanwhile, Josuke's thinking to himself, of course I want the second match. That's where my plan really begins. And I'm just like, yes. I love that he's like 10 steps ahead. Just makes me so happy to see him using like the Joestar like I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah. Because he is partially Joestar because Holly's son would be, yeah, basically Jotaro. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's all going according to his plan. Josuke is like, well, what will we bet? And Jobin's like, ooh, you're so interesting. So much more so than my little brother. And he asked Josuke, like, what he would want. And Josuke's like, well, there's really nothing in this world that I own, so... And Jobin's like, you know what? I just really want to win. Like, I want to dominate. I want to make you surrender. Like, that's what I'm in this for. I'm in this for that feeling. And Jobin's like, well, just for fun, though, like, tell me what you would want. And Josuke says, I want the Lamborghini. And I totally forgot that he drove up in a Lamborghini. So, meanwhile, we see Tsurugi telling Yasuho that Josuke's going to win the Lamborghini. And he needs to talk to her about it. And I'm like, oh my God, does this have something to do with like her, because her stand like guides things, and the last thing she saw was like, I think it might have been a Lamborghini in the video that she was watching, and then Tsurugi shows up. So like, was that on purpose? Like, I didn't even put that together at first. Apparently, there's a data recorder in the key for the Lamborghini, a record of where it's been and everything. And this is how they're going to find out where that fruit tree was. So we cut back to Josuke gluing the mandible back on his beetle. Gotta get it done somehow, I guess. And Jobin agrees. And Josuke is like really examining the key. And he's like, I'm going to drive for the first time with no license in a Lamborghini. And Joshu, of course, is just freaking out at this. Like, he cannot handle it. So Jobin introduces his new beetle for the match. And Jobin tells Joshu that he has to cheer for Josuke. He's like, hey, let me hear something. And Joshu's just like, yeah, we'll go get him. And Jobin's like, he actually says, like, this is a quote, your meager level of humanity. And he's like, that's going to be like a problem once you're out in society. And I love it. I love that he's... Ordinarily, if a character was getting ripped on this much, I'd be like, oh, that's so mean. They're so mean to him. But, like, Joshu, like, he deserves it. So, yeah. So, they get started, and Josuke is just like, you know, you haven't asked me what you get if I lose. And this is when Jobin says he wants to lick his eyeball. And, like, earlier, when I was saying the thing about licking the spider... Yeah, he made sure he did something on par with that in this same batch. It's giving Rohan, it's giving Bruno licking to taste the lies. I don't know. It's just very, very weird. But that's what he wants, apparently. So Jobin says he just wants the feeling of winning and that this is like the first fun summer vacation he's had in a while. And I'm just like, it's gonna be a really bizarre summer, isn't it, you guys? It's gonna be a really bizarre summer. So the beetles lock together and start grappling, and it kind of looks like Jobin's is going for like the mandible that's been glued back on. I'm like, how did it know to do that? That's crazy. So Joshu's like, he's thinking to himself, like, wait, maybe he wanted me to cheer on Josuke so I wouldn't accidentally give anything away about what's going on. Because apparently, like, the mandibles on this particular beetle make it really efficient for cutting into the mandible of another beetle. And particularly one that's been glued back on, you know, like isn't even truly attached anymore. So it looks like Jobin's beetle is starting to retreat, but then it punches. It like body slams the other beetle. And I'm just like, And Jobin's beetle stays in the ring. So Josuke's beetle is down. It's been knocked on its back. It's in the dead buggy position. And it's not getting back up. And Jobin tells Josuke, like, you know, you can use the brush if you want. Just don't touch the actual body or it's like an automatic failure. So Josuke's wondering, like, did Jobin do something? Like, is this like a power and ability or something? Like, he's trying to figure it out. And then Jobin's beetle snaps one of Josuke's beetle's legs off. And now Joshu's really getting into the announcer thing, and he's shouting like, gore warning, gore warning. And I'm just like, oh my God, what is happening? So, but then the beetle starts to get back up, and Jobin tosses it out of the ring, but it holds on by one little leg. You guys, I've seen, honest to God, like wrestling matches that were not this good. Or at least on par. Like, this is some like entertainment right here. Like, you could charge people to see this fight easily. Easily. This would sell tickets. So it's hanging on for dear life on the side of the ring. Apparently Jobin's is about to attack Josuke's while it's on the side of the ring. So Josuke yells to Joshu to bring him the insect guide that's on the nearby shelf. Really weird, like, but apparently we need info. So when beetles feel strong vibrations or shocks to their leg joints, they instinctively react by playing dead. So Josuke's like, is this really just an instinct, or is Jobin like legit doing something in this match? So Josuke's beetle starts to try and crawl back up, but then it gets bitten again. And Josuke is thinking, like, this is definitely starting to look like Jobin is up to something. Like, he is doing something. This is not the natural course of this fight. Finn to chapter, what was that one? 36. Guys, I never thought a beetle fight could be so interesting. I really never did. I underestimated Araki after 7+ parts of him blowing my mind with the smallest of concepts. Somehow I still underestimated just how good he would truly make this fight. And it's still not over. But I mean, like, I was getting so into it in this one. I was just like, I don't know how he made a beetle fight this interesting. But, like, there it is. No, I mean, he might be using his stand, they're implying now. But, like, up to this point, there's been, like, no stands. Basically, I mean, he did use his, Josuke used his for the pheromones a little bit. But, and somehow it's just still gold. It really speaks to his talent that if he is interested enough in something, he will make you interested in it too. And he will really get you invested. And, Jobin's freaking weird, you guys. He's bizarre. He's having a bizarre summer. He really, really is. It's not 1999, but it is still a bizarre summer. Actually, is it even supposed to be summertime while they're doing this? I forget if they said, like, what time of year it is. I mean, it was leaves, so I kind of thought maybe it was more like fall. But I don't know. Anyway, it's bizarre no matter what time of year it is. He's giving such Rohan vibes right now. That, like, the only difference is I feel like Rohan really couldn't keep it together. But I feel like that's the goal with Jobin, is to kind of get him to that place where, like, he's not really able to sort of, like, this. It sounds like he's very closed off. Like, he's he's actually very careful about what kind of information he would volunteer, or, you know, he's actually very strategic. But if you just get him to a certain place, he'll kind of lose it. And he's just, I don't know why, he just reminds me. And even the hair a little bit, he's got like green hair and everything. But yeah, so I still don't know what he's up to. I mean, so far he hasn't done anything. Like, so far the worst thing he's done is, like, he knows there's been some interaction between him and the fruit, and he has not said anything. Then again, he's been home for like 20 minutes. He hasn't even gone to see his wife and kid. So, like, for all we know, he's going to look for his kid to be like, hey, I think I found something. Like, you need to come with me. I found all this stuff about fruit and everything. Maybe even, like, going to go to Norisuke. Like, he really hasn't had, like, 5 minutes to himself. Like, I like to think that, like, we're going to start off with, like, a little bit of an antagonistic kind of approach. But that he's going to end up being, like, a solid bro and a solid, like, Higashikata bro. kind of like Norisuke has ended up being. Because really, like, so far he hasn't done anything wrong. The only thing he's done wrong is just not telling this person he doesn't even know right away about the fruit. Like, he has a good reason for having looked into the fruit, right? Like, Tsurugi was looking into the fruit too. Looking into the fruit doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that they're looking for a cure. Like, what if they just happen to stumble upon the same cure? So, yeah. But I mean, all I really know so far is that he's super weird. He is a lot of fun, though. He is a lot of fun. But I don't know. I kind of get, like, I get dangerous vibes from him, but I also could really easily see this being, like, he's solid. He's solid, and he's just a little kooky. And, you know, welcome to the family, basically, because they're all freaking kooky. Some of them, I mean, Joshu's just disgusting. He's not even kooky, but most of them are just, like, kooky with a dash of, like, maybe you're, like, a little bit more than kooky? I don't know. But then it's like, nah, they're just fun. They're just fun. It's all good fun. But yeah, so we still don't even know if Jobin's using a stand. I mean, he's definitely gonna have a stand. Like, they all have stands, and he wouldn't introduce this, like, big player character and have him not have a stand. Like, literally everyone has a stand in this. There's no way. But it's just, like, a matter of what it is, how it works, and how Josuke's gonna get around it. Because Josuke's already, like, I feel like playing chess over here. So, like, I got a good feeling that Josuke's gonna be able to, like, figure it out. And, but yeah, it's all a matter of just how. And once again, we have left off in the middle of a fight, which I know is annoying. Hopefully next time, I mean, I really have no way of knowing until I've read them, but hopefully next time we'll get to, like, that was really nice the way this one started with just, like, a fresh batch of, like, we closed off the Yotsuyu thing, and now we're heading into a whole new arc. And I also am really glad that we're getting to meet Jobin, because he was like, that was the last thing. That's the last thing before whoever is the person that is the other person opposite of Kira. Because we already know that Kira is, like, partially, inside of, he's already, like, partially Josuke, basically. But we don't know who the other person is. Aside from that, Jobin was, like, the last big thing that I feel like we hadn't really gotten to yet. We had mentioned it. We mentioned this eldest brother over and over and over. And then we, like, never, you know, followed up on it. So now we know Jobin. What does Jobin know? What is Jobin bringing to this situation? And that remains to be seen. So, really good batch, you guys. I had a lot of fun with this one. The beetle fight was great. Jobin is great. Seeing Joshu get trashed is great. Seeing Josuke really use his brain is great. Seems like Yasuho is going to be brought back into the fold a little bit. I'm really hoping we'll actually... Oh, Buffy's pumped for it, as you can hear. I'm really hoping we'll actually get them in, like, the same scene again. Actually interacting with each other, because we haven't had that in ages. Like, they've been split apart. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. I can't wait to see where it's going. I hope you enjoyed reading along with me. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. Please, as we are just doing crazy, like, eyeball licking, eyebrow shaving, all kinds of weird, bizarre stuff. I'm definitely going to need your help. So please be sure to join me next time, and we will read it together. Bye for now, guys.